Hello, everybody. This is Cameron on the War Eagle Weekly Podcast. Tonight, I am joined by Josh Kirsch as well as Brandon Kirsch, our brother. He was unable to meet us last time and is here with us tonight. How are you guys doing tonight?
That's a good night.
Doing okay. Made some fried chicken. Feeling just fine.
All right.
He sent us a picture
Awesome.
of it.
Well,
It
hey,
actually looked really good.
It was really good.
it did look good. It did look good. All right. Well, hey, guys, let's go ahead and jump on in. We've got a lot to talk about. Brandon, last week, Josh and I introduced ourselves, told the listeners a little bit about ourselves. Go ahead and let us know a little bit about you.
Yep, they gave a brief introductory of me last time. Like they said, got into Auburn football around like 2013 ish. A rough season. No, that was the good season. That was a good season. Um, I think I actually started watching in like 2009. And then 2010 whole Cam Newton season. That was great. And then it just really started to catch on.
You got Ben Tate in '09. That was a good year.
Sure. Yeah.
That was good, yeah.
But I mean, that's about it. I mostly pay attention to Auburn football, follow a few of our players into the NFL. So the basketball situation of all this is pretty new to me. So, I mean, other than that,
Awesome. Awesome. Well, let's start off with the big news of the week. DJ Durkin has been hired. So, Josh, how does this? What does this mean for Auburn? What does it mean for our defense? What does it mean for the team in general? What do you think?
I don't, I can't really speak on what I think is going to happen per se this coming season. All I know is what he's done in the past, especially in the last 2 years at Texas A&M. DJ Durkin, wherever he goes, the defenses just get better year after year. His first year in Texas A&M, Texas A&M was number 7 in overall defense in the NCAA and number 52 overall
No,
in the country.
no, that was number 7 in the SEC,
What did I say?
the NCAA.
Oh, sorry. I meant 7 in the SEC and 52
uh,
overall in the NCAA.
yeah,
And then in
not.
2023, what, Cameron?
I was just gonna say, even seventh in the SEC, not that great. 50, top, not even the top 50 in the country. Yeah, not that great. But like you said, every year they did
I
get
was about
better.
to
And
say
that
I
was
was I
his.
was getting into
2023.
it.
I was about to say
I
his
was,
point still stands. Like
I
the
was
fact that
getting
the
into it.
defenses got better and better year over year. I think
Yeah,
that's what really matters. Especially like last year, Texas A&M had a better record than we did, didn't they? Like much
uh,
better, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
a
yeah.
couple
Not
went two,
much
three
better,
wins,
but
2, 3 wins.
yeah, yeah. They did have
My
a
my
better
whole
record.
point though was those are the numbers in 2022. Number 7 in the SEC, number 52 overall in the NCAA, and then the following year in 2023, Texas A&M moved up to number 3 in the SEC and number 19 in total defense in the NCAA. In the whole country, they're number 19. So the growth from year 1 to year 2 was exponential. It's huge,
Yeah,
and I feel
yeah.
he's going to do that. And not only were they number 3 in the SEC and number 19 in the country, they were number 1 in sacks in the SEC.
Well, was that DJ Durkin or was that a product of those 5-star athletes on that defensive line?
Well, it goes back to DJ Durkin because DJ Durkin helped recruit those 5 stars, 4 and
Okay,
5
okay.
stars.
Well,
Yeah,
plus
so all of it is a product of DJ Durkin.
before him being a defensive coordinator, he was a linebacker coach too, wasn't he?
He sure was.
So I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
I
and
feel
he
like that
well,
experience there is just gonna further strengthen like the defensive buildup going forward. Looking
Absolutely.
at his stats here, yeah, like Josh said, looks like he allowed 365 yards in 2022, and then
mm-hmm,
cut that down by about like 50 something yards in 2023. Like Josh said, 19th in the nation. I think that's
yeah.
significant.
It's very
No,
significant.
yeah, it definitely is. And something that I actually realized was a lot of the way that he runs his defenses is kind of the way that Auburn kind of ran theirs last year. And I think the way that I almost said Gus Malzahn, the way that Hugh Freeze wants to run his team, and he runs that 4-2-5 multiple. He sometimes that a 3-3-5 or whatnot. So I think we're going to have a lot of similarities between the defenses, between what Ron Roberts ran last year and what DJ Durkin is going to run. But I think you guys pointed it out. His experience and just the fact that his teams got better year in and year out. And I think he's going to help us bring in a lot of really, really good talent. And I think he's going to help us, evaluate what talent we want to bring in that's going to help fill those gaps and do the things that we need him to do. So I said it last
110%.
week. I said it last week. I feel like DJ Durkin is a good option, and I think he was a good fit. And the more and more I think about it, the more and more we look into it, the more and more I'm happy about it. So I think it's a good hire for Hugh Freeze, and this is a guy that was going to be on Nick Saban's staff this year
Yes,
if he didn't retire.
exactly.
That's what everyone is saying. Greg McElroy was saying it on Cole Kubelik's podcast or radio show. So he's I think Durkin is just going to be a great hire for us.
I agree 100%.
I mean, as much as I hate to give more credit to that man, if there's anything to say that he's a good hire, it's that Nick Saban had his eye on him. So I mean,
yeah, no, I agree.
now correct me if I'm
All
wrong.
right.
I'm not sure if y'all discussed this last week or not. But personally, my biggest concern is still with the Auburn offense. Last year, we were barely able to get anything going. I feel like our defense was okay. Like there's
we overachieved for sure.
yeah, like I feel like there was definitely like something that we can improve on. But like overall, I was happy with how our defense performed. My biggest concern going forward is how our offense is going to perform.
Yeah.
That's a valid
Well,
concern. I mean, with Derek Nix coming in from Ole Miss, that was Hugh Freeze's guy last year. That's who he wanted last year. But Lane Kiffin put a wrench in it, and they finally got it figured out this year. And so the offense is in very good hands, I feel. And we're going to see a significant leap in offensive production, especially with Kent Austin being promoted to quarterbacks coach. He's had some good success with quarterbacks, and I expect big things from the offense compared to last year.
Now that's
now I
well, I was also just gonna say that like more concerns on offense come with Cadillac taking off. I feel like our halfback division isn't going to be close to what it was in the past. Like I think that it's going to take a couple of years for us to recover from that. I'm really hesitant to say anything positive about how our offense is going to perform until I see something happen.
I'm sorry, Cameron. Go ahead.
Yep, no, you're good. You're good. I think we're just all really excited to talk about this because
For sure.
the thing is Hugh Freeze has taken over offensive play calling, Brandon. He has a reputation in this league and nationally for being able to call a good offense. He wants to go up tempo, and so I think we're going to be able to do a lot of things this year that we weren't able to do last year. Now, Derek Nix, our new offensive coordinator, he was the running backs coach at Ole Miss. And Quinton, is it
Quinshawn Judkins.
Junkins. He
Judkins.
was I'm terrible with names. He was a stud for Ole Miss, and so Derek Nix actually knows what he's doing. He's been around the block a very long time in the SEC, and so
He was at Ole Miss for
yes,
16 years.
yeah. So yes, losing Caddy is a big hit because I think he does a phenomenal job. But what Cadillac brought to the table was more so his recruiting
Yeah.
than I think his coaching of the running backs. I think he did a phenomenal job, and I don't think that that's in question. But he brought in some really talented backs, and their talent spoke to what the production was at running back. And so I think Derek Nix is going to bring us some recruiting, and these are going to be different running backs that we're going to see in the next few years
Yeah.
than what we're used to. But he's going to help with recruiting, but I think the way that these running backs are going to know the game and the way that they're going to produce in the game, whether rushing attack or passing attack, is going to be completely different than what Caddy did, and I think it's going to be a good option for us. And I don't think we're going to see much of a drop off, especially not in this first year, with the fact that we're bringing all four running backs back.
Very true. And
And
you guys also need to keep in mind Hugh Freeze's offenses have never centered around the running back, ever. It's always been an extra piece that he could use as a weapon. His weapons are tight ends and receivers. So we may not get the production that we're used to from the running backs. It doesn't mean they're not going to be producing and catching passes from the backfield. That's just another thing to keep in mind. Cadillac was a great recruiter. He was a good coach. We're going to miss him more as an Auburn man and an Auburn fan than we are going to miss him as a coach,
I
like Ben
guess
was saying.
I guess that's just my biggest concern. That along with culture.
it's fair.
Right, it's like the culture of Auburn has always been halfback you, right? We're like
Yes,
you,
absolutely.
you pound that damn ball, you just keep going. I mean, we're like y'all said, we're gonna see different caliber, like different types of running backs at Auburn. I just hope that the culture of like the Auburn running back culture sticks.
Oh, it's going
Yeah.
to. It's just going to look a
And we'll
little
have
different
to,
than what we're used to.
yeah,
I guess
we'll
we'll
have to
see.
see how it is in a couple of years. So, well, let's go ahead and move on. So, speaking of the offense, I think this is a great transition, Brandon. So I'm glad you brought it up. Um, So last year we were not able to go up tempo like Hugh Freeze wanted, and he was talking about how it was because of the depth that we had on defense. So does DJ Durkin being this higher on the defensive side, does is he going to make up for the fact that we maybe don't have enough depth? Is he going to help us go more up tempo on offense, or have we kind of settled that depth issue? Or maybe a combination of the two. What do you guys think?
Um.
Brandon,
Oh, sorry.
let's start off with Brandon.
I mean, are you talking about like how the defense is going to affect how our offense performs? Because
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like the ideal outcome here, right, regardless of like what type of talent we have on defense, is that DJ takes complete and absolute pushes them to their limit, right? It's like you put them at the max output that they can be. I don't know if we're gonna see immediate change from last year. Hopefully we do, but that's generally not how things work when it comes to these kind of things, right? Like this is basically a full rebuild on coaching staff, and I think it's gonna take at least a year or two to get our tempo where we're gonna want to see it.
I
That's fair.
wholeheartedly
That's
agree.
fair.
Yeah. That kind of
Josh,
like
go ahead.
that kind of like goes into what I was gonna say. I don't know if it'll necessarily improve our tempo on offense. All I do know is if the offense is not producing the way DJ Durkin would want it to produce for his defense, he's used to coaching those types of games. So it's not uncharted territory for him. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to make things work. He knows how to extend games. Um, in terms of the depth, I feel like we addressed the critical depth pieces that we needed, such as the linebackers, and DBs, and a couple of defensive linemen. I especially feel the addition of Kite to the defensive back room
Mm,
is just gonna help no matter what. Because no matter what, I feel like Kite, Deontay Scott, and Kay and Lee are going to somehow fit on the field at the same time in some packages, and that alone is
yeah.
going to help, you know, our defense get off the field, and it's going to help our offense keep their momentum. Whenever we do get momentum, I do expect more or less of what we saw this past season from our defense. I don't expect them to be bad, like I expected our defense to be bad last year. We overachieved,
Mm-hmm.
and I expect kind of the same thing from our defense. Now, when it comes to the offense, though, I expect more from our offense
That's what I was gonna
So
circle
because
back around
because
to.
Hugh
It's like
Freeze is
this
calling his specific offense.
Absolutely. Like I just think this revolves back to my like initial point of I feel like most of the pressure this year is going to be on Derek Nix to perform
Yes.
because last year our defense was
Yep.
doing fine, but our offense would never be able to provide them a break. Right. So like if
Yeah.
our offense can start to perform to give our defense a break, I think that's going to increase the tempo going forward.
Hundred and 10%.
But I don't expect to see those results this year. I'd love to be
No,
proven
Now,
like
wrong.
I expect to see it
now I
later on in the
think
season, just not right away.
Sure.
Now, I think this is kind of a new territory for all three of us. Um, I'm going to be the optimistic person here.
That is a shocker.
I I am
Okay.
always the pessimist, but here's my thought. So before Durkin was at Texas A&M, he was the defensive coordinator for Ole Miss, and he had Lane Kiffin, who runs up tempo, goes forward on fourth down, puts his defense in bad spots. And Durkin produced one hell of a defensive unit while they're at Ole Miss. So I think what Hugh Freeze was doing with this hire, if he was, playing three-dimensional chess, if you will, was he was looking at this and saying, you know what, hell or high water, we're going up tempo this year. And if it puts our defense in a bad spot, I got the man. I got
Hmm.
the man that knows how to handle the defense and is going to give us the best chance to succeed, even if I am putting him in a bad spot. And 2 years from now, 2025, which this coaching staff has always mentioned 2025 as being the year that they think that Auburn is going to be able to be in the playoff, it's going to put us in a great spot. So this year, no matter what, is just going to prepare the players to be in a good spot for
Yep.
2025. And I think Freeze is going to just say, you know what, screw it, let's go high tempo. I'm going to run this bitch, and we're going to do what we got to do. And it's going to cost us in some games, and I'm sure it's going to win us some games. But I'm pretty optimistic about it because I think DJ Durkin is the right hire to help us whenever we do put the defense in a bad spot, because the dude has been there, done that, and if he could succeed with Lane Kiffin, um, who can't he succeed with?
Is that a shot at Lane Kiffin?
Yeah, no, it's most definitely a shot at Lane Kiffin. You know, um,
Good. We love
yeah,
it.
no, it definitely is. So okay, well, speaking of how our players are going to react to this hire, and speaking to the fact that we're probably going to see some new faces out there, and that this is potentially going to help us in the future. Let's head on to our next topic tonight. Let's talk about our top five impact players at these different positions. We're going to break it down into three. We're going to do offensive skill players, offensive and defensive line. We're going to combine those two, and then defensive backs and linebackers.
That's four, by the
Um,
way, not three.
no, it's only three because we're combining offensive and defensive line,
All
offensive
right.
skill players, and
Are you
then
combining defensive backs and
cornerbacks and line.
linebackers?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay. That's a little confusing, but
yeah.
okay. Cool.
Okay, well, either way, that's what we're gonna be doing here. So, let's start with our offensive skill players. Josh, who's your top five impact players?
Okay, so I'll start with my first offensive player. But before I get into my top player, I'm making a prediction right here. When it comes to quarterbacks, Peyton Thorne will be the starter to begin the season. Walker
Okay,
White will take over within 3 to 5 games.
I don't think that's a hot take.
It's.
I think,
I feel like it is a hot take. A lot of people are saying that they think it could happen.
yeah.
I'm saying it's going to happen.
Okay, so is Peyton Thorne one of your impact players then,
No, he's
or
he's not.
no?
He's not. I'm just saying he's not my
Okay.
impact player. I'm just saying. Um,
Oh,
my first impact player is Rivaldo Fairweather. There's just no denying what that guy can
oh,
do on the field. He broke the Auburn Seagull season record for receptions and receiving yards. And we all
yeah,
saw how little he was incorporated in the offense week in, and week out. He did that all on 38 catches too. So I mean, I expect him to break his own record in 2024. He's definitely
Okay.
he's easily the most important weapon on offense right now.
Okay. All right. Brandon, what's one of your impact players on the offensive skill players?
This is probably one of the worst questions for me. Because when it comes to paying attention to the game, I pay attention to the game. I don't really separate like the players, right? So I'm not 100% familiar with like who all of the players are, which is something that I'll have to step up on. But I do actually believe the opposite of what Josh said about Peyton Thorne. I feel like if anybody's gonna step up, it should be him. And I think that like he would fit into how Hugh Freeze wants to run the offense if he can step up, right? Because
Yeah, he
like
should step up. That's the
right,
question.
but
Will
I'm
he?
just saying like last year whenever he was performing, he was able to show that he was a relatively decent dual threat quarterback. If we can get him some protection, he can send some stuff down lane, or he can run it up the middle. Like dude, like I feel like he has the potential to be versatile, right? But
Okay.
whether or not he actually
That's a valid
performs
take.
is up to debate.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
said that's a
You know,
valid
it's
take.
funny. I think. Go ahead, Josh. Yeah. Well, so kind of what my first one is actually Peyton Thorne. I think he is the number one most impactful person on this team. And he's either going to impact it really good, like Brandon was saying, or he's going to be so bad that we're going to have to move on, like Josh was saying. And so it's beautiful that you two kind of took both opposites, and then I just went and just busted that door down because I truly think he is our number one most impactful player on the entire team, not just offensive skill players, on the entire team. It's either going to be really good or it's going to be really bad, or Hugh Freeze is just going to
Man,
get
I'm
annoyed
telling
with
y'all,
him
Walker
and just
White
move
is the
on.
real dot. He's the
So
real deal. Dot com.
that's pretty awesome.
He is the real
Brandon,
effing deal.com to quote Transformers 2.
he
He's
seems
going to
like it.
show a lot
He
of
seems like
folks.
it.
Yep.
He's telling Jesse to
Gonna
get in the
cook up
kitchen.
some of that
I
blue
swear to
crystal.
God.
Well, I'm pretty sure we're gonna have some over. I'm pretty sure we're gonna have some overlap on these players. So if we do, let's not worry about getting all five. We'll just comment and say that we did. Impactful player is gonna be.
Yeah, I mean Josh already talked about Rivaldo, so I'm not going to double dip on that. But I think Jarquez Hunter is going to continue to perform like he always has the past couple of years. I think. I mean, if anybody's going to be a weapon, it's going to be him.
That's my number two as well. I couldn't agree more. He's been that stable workhorse for us. Year in and year out, and I think this year with him not missing time for off the field issues, I think he's he's really going to hit the
Well,
ground
yeah, for
running
sure.
hard and really.
If he wants that draft stock, you gotta put up, dude. This is your last year.
Yep. All right, Josh. What about you? Who do you think your number two and most impactful player is going to be?
As offensive skill player,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so it definitely was going to be Jarquez. I agree with Zach Blackerby whenever he says he's going to
Yeah.
be the fourth or fifth leading receiver on Auburn's team.
He
But
very well could.
yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. But my second impactful is definitely going to be Cam Coleman. What he brings
Okay.
to a very, very needy wide receiver room is the ability to catch the damn ball. He doesn't drop the ball. Unless the ball is
No.
thrown so bad, which even in that case, he has a hard time dropping that ball. He's going to add a lot for Auburn fans to love on that field because he's going to be that dynamic. He's definitely going to start day one as a receiver and as a true freshman, and he's definitely going to be probably one of the most important pieces on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah. No, I think I agree with you there. I had him down as my number five just because he is a freshman still, and so you hope that it translates. And really, everything about his game should, and it shouldn't surprise anybody. But he's still a freshman, so yeah, no, he's my number five. Um, So my number three was Rivaldo Fairweather. We really touched base on him. The fact that he is coming back, is just absolutely fantastic, and I think he's going to be a difference maker for this team. But so I'm gonna shock everybody here because I don't think anybody else has my next person on their list. Not even a little bit. I am I am praying and I am hoping and I am just really, really hoping that Camden Brown finally puts it together and becomes this impactful person that we have needed him to be for the last 3 years. He is going to be that guy that steps up and says, "Hey, all you young receivers, this is how you perform at this level." And he has shown absolutely zero ability in real game time, except for when he had the baby goat throw into him in the Maryland game. He looked pretty good, and
This is a
so
real hot take, Cameron.
I think it is. The thing is I'm gonna be looking back on this and saying, of course, Camden Brown didn't do anything.
Yeah, you
But
want to know
this
why
is
he didn't do
more-
anything? Because he transfers next open window.
And see, that could very well happen.
It's
That could
going to
very well
happen.
But I really want him to just be this impactful person. I mean, he has all the tools, man. He is a big dude. He is a strong dude. He's just got to catch the ball.
He's
and
got
gotta
all
put
the
his body
physical
in
capabilities and abilities. He can't piece it together. You know who else we wanted to perform, but always ended up letting us down? Mario friggin' Fannin.
Yeah. I knew you were gonna bring him up. I
I wanted to love the guy
to,
so much. He just fumbled so often.
yeah. Up to this point, though, Mario Fannin has been 10 times the contributor that Camden Brown.
Yes, absolutely,
So,
110%.
yeah. So
That's a real hot take,
have
dude.
any? Does anybody have any player that hasn't been brought up yet on the offensive skill position?
I don't have any more skill players, and I only have
Okay.
one offensive lineman too.
Okay. Well, hey, the offensive and defensive line are gonna be combined, so that's fine. You can have only just one offensive line. So I'll actually start us off on the offensive lines and defensive line impact players. Number one, and it's no surprise to anybody out there, it's got to be Keldrick Falk. The dude was a complete unit looking out there last year, and he started putting it together more and more as the season went on. You give him another year, another off season in the weight room, I think Keldrick Falk is going to be the star along that defensive line, and I think he is going to be one of the most impactful players on all of the defense next year. And I really hope that he steps up.
Yeah, he is a freak
Josh.
of nature as a freshman, but yeah, he wasn't even on my list for linemen.
Oh wow!
Because
Okay.
I think there's one player far more invaluable than Keldrick Falk. And that's Jason Jones. Our defensive tackle room is so thin. Him coming back,
It's tiny.
huge. What's
Yeah.
tiny? Our room or him?
The room.
I was about to say he's
The
6'6",
room.
338, buddy.
Yeah.
He's big. He's a big boy. But
Yeah.
him coming back is just that is gonna impact the defense so much. He's gonna take up at least two bodies every snap because he's so fast. For being 340 pounds, he is lightning quick. He's so strong. He's just gonna make Keldrick Falk's job that much easier.
Brandon, who do you think is going to be our most impactful offensive or defensive line? Do you have any? I know players are not
Yeah,
necessarily
like I said
your
at
strongest
the
point.
beginning of this, I'm not too strong on like player names and all that. I look at more like
Okay.
a team as a whole. I've got nothing for you.
Okay, that's fair. I think me and Josh got this handled. Josh, who's your number two? Well, yeah, your number two.
Connor Liu. That boy,
Okay.
as a freshman, came in for injured. Was it Tate or Avery that he came in for?
Avery. It was Avery.
Okay, yeah, he came in for an injured Avery and just played lights out. After that, he was a staple starter on the offensive line. As a true freshman last year, he finished 2023 with a PFF grade of 66.6 on run blocking. 66.6 overall, 60 63 grade on run blocking and a 78.4 pass blocking grade, and that pass blocking grade was best for 30th in the nation among centers. So if he
Yeah.
could do all that as a center, like granted those aren't elite PFF numbers, but they're good, especially for a true
Yeah.
freshman coming in to play cleanup for an injured guy that's been starting, and then you took over the starting job. He's our most important offensive lineman, hands down.
Well, so
He's the
I
most
have him.
important offensive lineman since Reese Dismukes.
That's fair. I have him on my list. He's for me he's actually number 4, but ahead of him, the most important offensive lineman we have. And so I disagree with you there, Josh. It's got to be Dylan Wade. The fact that we now have a true left tackle and he can move into the guard position, which is
True.
where he's going to play in the NFL. He is going to play lights out for us because he played lights out for us last year, and he did a little bit of everything. Dylan Wade is going to be the anchor of that offensive line, and he is going to be the leader of that offensive line. Connor Lew is going to look amazing because he's going to have Dylan Wade sitting right next to him, just right up against him, and just completely helping the kid. So I think Dylan Wade is far and above going to be more important and more impactful than Connor Lew is next year.
Far and
Although
above, or just more?
Again, Connor Lew is number 4. He's right behind him, but I just think that I think there is a wide gap between those two. Is all I'm saying. My last person goes along with the thought process that you had of putting Jason Jones as your number 1, because of the defensive tackle room being so small, and the fact that DJ Durkin runs essentially a 3-down lineman, and that nose tackle is going to be important. I think TJ Lindsey is going to have to step up and is going to be an impactful person. Nobody's talking about this guy, but this kid is
light.
Huge for a freshman.
He just seems too skinny for a defensive tackle.
Nah, he's going to be just fine. He's going to be just fine. I think he's going to be a big impactful person. We need him to be, because we really don't have any depth. I know we brought in some transfers, and I know that we got some players that can step up and help fill the position, but I think by the end of the year we're going to be talking about Jason Jones and TJ Lindsey at that defensive tackle position. I think that's how it's going to be. So, let's move on to defensive backs and linebackers. Unlike what Josh was thinking, we're combining those two together, and we're going to come up with 5 players. Brandon, were you able to find any players? No. Okay.
No.
It's okay.
Look,
it's all right.
It's all
right. I'll start us.
I will say what I'm expecting to see. The past couple of years, our linebackers have been consistently like solid and on point. So I expect to see that kind of consistency going forward. I personally, I love to see some good safety plays. So safeties and linebackers, as long as you continue to step it up, I'll be happy.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. I'll start us off, and I think it's really no surprise to a lot of our listeners. Keontae Scott, he's going to be very impactful.
He's my number 1
backfield. I really hope he moves back and doesn't become a boundary corner or an outside corner. I wasn't too happy with his performance in the Maryland game. I thought there was some holes in his game there, and I think when he was around the ball throughout the season, he looked a million times better. But I want him to do what's best for him, and I understand him wanting to, if that was his decision to play corner. But man, no matter where he is, he's got to be our number 1 most impactful defensive back.
I agree with you, man. And I go back and whenever Antonio Kite committed to Auburn, back on Locked on Auburn with Zach Blackerby, he was saying that you got to think that the coaches are going to Keontae and like, listen, man, you're a great outside corner, but you're at your best when you're playing nickel or you're playing inside corner, because you got 2 outstanding athletes outside of him, Antonio Kite and Caden Lee. And those guys, they're true outside corners, and Keontae Scott's a true inside corner. So I'm really hoping they can get that figured out so we can have all three of those guys on the field at the same time. But yeah, Keontae Scott is my number one impactful DB slash linebacker. Just his stats speak for themselves, and like his production speaks for itself. And we all know he can return the ball. We like him better defending the ball. I don't want to see him take a lick and take a beating like Coy Moore did in the Iron Bowl because they
Well,
wore the same number. But
I would
yeah,
have much,
he's most important.
I would have much rather see Keontae Scott back there returning that ball.
Oh sure, I'm
Than
just saying I
Coy
don't want
Moore.
that. I don't
So
want something like that to happen to him like it did to Coy Moore.
I
That's what
gotcha.
I don't want.
I gotcha. Well, what about number 2, Josh? Who do you have as
Eugene
your
Asante,
second?
bro. Eugene Asante. The
That's fair.
dude came in, friggin' broke out against Cal, and just built on that the rest of the season. He's just, when we talk about Auburn man, he has quickly became an Auburn
Looking
man.
at the stats,
Let's work, baby.
that is one guy that I was going to bring up. Looked like he averaged like at least one tackle for loss every game. Some
Yeah.
Oh
games
yeah,
breaking out
bro.
were 2.5. Dude had like what 70 plus solo tackles on the season.
Yeah, a lot.
Absolute unit.
Wherever the ball is, that's where he's gonna be.
Absolute
That's what
unit.
I want. I cannot wait to watch Eugene Asante play again in 2024.
Yeah, I think he was a real big spark plug for that defense, and he kind of surprised everybody. In the Cow game, and and really just nailed it. So I agree. I was very happy with Eugene Asante, and he's actually my number 3. And so I agree with you there. Number 2 for me is going to be Antonio Kite. I think, like we were talking about, hoping that Keontae Scott moves back in. Well, I think Kite is going to give us that opportunity and is going to give him that ability for us to move Keontae Scott back inside. And so you combine those two, and they're going to feed off of each other. One, helps the other, and I think Kite is going to be just a total monster for us this year.
Absolutely,
Yep.
110%.
Number 3, I had Eugene Asante. So I think we've said plenty about that guy. He's just a beast. Number 4, and I think this is something that's kind of going under the radar right now, is Austin Keys. I think Austin Keys is going to have a crazy good year. He played for DJ Durkin, not a lot when he was at Ole Miss, but he played for DJ Durkin, so he's going to know what he's getting into. He was stoked about the hire. He was one of the players that tweeted out his excitement for the hire and talking about how players are going to have to step up. And so I think Austin Keys is going to be a big contributor. And when he came back from his injury, there was a clear difference between his play and the number 3 guy. Eugene
Very
Asante
true.
was out there, and then it was like, and then Keys came in, and you're like, whoa, wait a second. This has been sitting on our bench because of injury. And everybody got really excited about this guy, and I think he's going to have a breakout year, and I think this is going to be the year that NFL scouts are going to just be drooling over
I
come
think so
the
too.
NFL time.
I called him Bam Bam last year because when he came back from his injury, he always carried around a club with him on the field. So I always called him Bam Bam.
Yep. Who's your 4th player, Josh?
You covered it. Austin Keys. He's that linebacker room. It's got a lot of young folks in there. We're gonna need that veteran leadership from Asante and Keys, and they're just gonna make Demarcus Riddick's career path even more clear because they're gonna show him
Yeah.
what he needs to do, what he shouldn't do, and I think linebackers is gonna be okay for a while now.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Demarcus Riddick, he's my number 5, and I think you hit the nail on the head, man. That kid is already doing what he's supposed to do. He's already stepping up. He
So
is
many good things
already
from bowl practice.
yeah, yeah. So I think he's just going to be a monster for us. Any players that we haven't talked about?
No, I've covered all the ones I had.
Again, this
Okay.
brings me
All
back
right.
to what I said about offense. Right, we had one offensive lineman on these most impactful players, right?
No, we had two.
Oh, we had.
I put
Okay.
Dylan Wade.
Okay, we had two. I'm just saying, I'm expecting our offensive line to step it up this season. That's like
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
bare minimum. That's where I'm at. Like, it's yeah. I'm expecting some impact.
You know, and
there.
they had a good year last year. They weren't bad. They were far better than what they were in 2022. I mean, Hugh Freeze brought in a crap ton of talent last year, and they did a really good job. And I think they're just going to build on that. We only lost
Sure, but
one player.
at the end of the game, let's look at pocket time. Like,
yeah,
we were falling
That's fair.
apart within what, like half a second to a second in the pocket. It was abysmal. So I mean,
It got pretty bad.
there was times. I agree with your elite teams. There was definitely those moments where Peyton Thorne had to run a little too much, but I think that was a little bit him as well. So, but yeah, no, I agree with you, Brandon. I agree with you. Okay, guys, moving on from football, let's talk about this Auburn men's basketball team. Man, it's been a rough stretch. We had two games. We lost back-to-back games, both of them road
On the road.
games.
Yep.
So I mean, there is that, but still, it really felt really crappy with how excited we've been about this team and how we've all felt about this team. Let's come up with the last two games. Let's talk about Mississippi State and Vandy. We already talked about Alabama last week. So let's talk about the second half of that two-game losing streak, and let's come up with 3 good and 3 bad between the Mississippi State and Vandy game. I'll start us off. I have nothing good to say about the Mississippi State game. I tried. I really, really tried, and I really love this team, and I love all the players and what they bring to this team, but I could not find. I dove deep. And I watched highlights again, even though I watched the entire game. I could not find a good. So my bad is the fact that nothing was good, and so
Valid.
that's for me. That is by far the biggest bad that we've seen is during this 2-game stretch. That Mississippi State game was just ugly. In the Alabama game, at least we had some stuff to point to that was good. There was nothing good in that game.
I don't.
There was a couple of good things from that game.
I would I
Maybe
disagree. I would say like the first half was relatively low scoring on both sides. So I feel like the defense was there for Auburn, at least for the first half. But then but then we started falling apart. Like, I agree there's not much good to say. Our offense needs to learn how to make some damn buckets. Because the scoring, we were stuck to 21 points in the first half, and then shut out for 2.5 minutes for the half to close. Like, that's embarrassing.
Unacceptable.
That is embarrassing. Like, you don't go on a 3-minute, nearly 3-minute scoreless streak. Absolute trash.
It can't do it. No, I actually do have a good from that game. It's actually the defense.
Like I said,
We held them to only 64 points. Our offense just couldn't keep up. Just couldn't. Like, their defense played better than our offense did. Yeah, I mean, our defense still had 6 blocks, 8 steals, and forced 14 turnovers, and we also held them to below 24% from 3. So that in itself is a good and positive. Our defense continues to be elite. Our offense just cannot get out of this friggin' slump.
Yep. See what I mean, listeners? I was the pessimist this time, and Josh and Brandon both came in with the optimism and really brought us back down to earth. So I'm gonna jump into the Vandy game, and unfortunately, I'm just gonna be the bad guy here. I'll start us off with some bad. That first half rebounding was abysmal. It was. I thought that they learned their lesson in the Mississippi State and the Alabama game, but they just carried that over. They couldn't rebound the ball. They were allowing Vandy to get in there in the first half, rebound everything they wanted to. First half.
Bro, I
Again,
disagree with you. I was going to say first half. Okay, I thought you were talking about the whole game. I disagree with you on the rebounding, bro.
No, just first half. Just first half.
Okay.
And in fact, my first good is the second half rebounding. So that's the first good I've come up with in the last 2 games. Is the second half rebounding. They killed it. They look at this. They out rebound Vandy. Like Vandy just had a bunch of midgets.
Hold on.
There.
Let's restructure that. there were two impact players that out rebound Vandy. We got Broom and we
Okay.
got
All
Trey
right.
Donaldson. They have most of our rebounds. Those two out rebound Vandy.
Okay,
Hey,
that's fair.
they're part of the team.
It's something.
All right, Josh, what's your next good or bad? I'll
Well, I
let you
mean, that
decide.
good from the Vendy Bane was actually going to be my good because we had 17 offensive boards in that game.
Yeah,
17 out of our 52 boards were offensive rebounds. But I won't go into rebounding since you just covered rebounding. Um,
real
I'll
quick.
go. Let's see here. I'll go into another bad
Okay.
against Vandy, and I know he was one of the better players against Vandy, I guess. But dude, you can't have three backcourt violations in one
Yeah.
game. You just freaking can't, Trey.
No.
That's my bad. Three backcourt violations and contributed to our 13 turnovers in that game.
He had
I mean, if you're
4.
going to make a run in March, huh? He didn't have four back. He had three backcourt,
No.
four turnovers.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you want to make a run in March, you can't be having three backcourt violations in one damn game, dog. You just can't. You just can't. That's my
Yeah.
bad.
Um,
Brandon, do you have a good for us?
my good is that we won the game. My bad is that we won the game against one of the worst teams in the conference, with a 44% field goal percentage. Like, I feel like if we're playing up against a dog shit team, we should be able to put up more points. Like, let's look at let's see, Aiden Holloway was 0 for 5, all of them behind the 3 point line and getting 1 point on the on a on a free throw. Like, it's like even though we
So
did come out with the win, I feel like it was, I mean, it was a win. Shrug is something.
Okay, but Brandon, when it comes to Vandy, keep this in mind. We've only beaten Vandy a handful of times since the 90s.
Okay, Josh,
We've only won
we've
three times on the road since 99
we've
against
had
Vandy.
these
We beat them on the road
discussions.
and at
We've
home.
had these discussions in the past. I hate these kind of statistics because they don't mean anything. They mean
No, it's
they
breaking
mean
a
jack
curse
shit.
is what it
They
is.
mean nothing. I don't care about
Breaking a
what our
curse.
team in the 80s did. I give a shit about what our team in 2024 does. Right? I don't
I mean,
I
it's valid.
don't care what our record is at Vandy.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm just saying, keep that in mind.
Okay, let's get back on track. And Brandon, real quick, just so that way you're aware, in basketball, 44% shooting percentage is actually really
No,
good.
I
It's
know,
really
I know,
Um,
but still, they're one of the worst teams in the conference. We should be putting up more
I-
points, or at least like connecting more.
So in college
I
basketball,
understand. I understand.
that was a good point total in college basketball.
Good, not great.
So it's a little bit different.
Good,
than,
not
than
great.
the
You want 100
NBA.
points
Good,
a
not
night,
It's a little
great.
Brandon?
different.
Good, not great.
He wants 100 points a game. You hear that, Bruce? 100 points a game.
100.
We've only done it
Okay.
twice this year, by the way.
Well, here, my good was the shooting percentage. I felt like it was back to normal, and so I thought we did really good there. And
How
another
about Denver
good
Jones?
was,
3 straight for the game start.
dude killed it. Dude killed it. We need him to be.
We need it.
We need him to step up. We really do. My next good is actually going to be the fact that we were moving the ball around to other teammates. Our assist numbers were through the roof in
That's
this
what
game.
I was gonna say as well.
And yeah, it was absolutely phenomenal. It was a complete difference than what it was in the Mississippi State game. They just absolutely were passing it to the right person. I can't say enough good things about the passing.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, anybody else have any good or bad that we want to talk about in those
Nah, I
two
got
games?
nothing but bad, bro. Don't get me, Mike. You know what I do.
All right, Andre.
Thank you for getting the reference.
Yep. Andre 3000 for those listeners that is not familiar with the movie Be Cool.
Classic.
So we got some more games coming up this week. Before we record our next podcast, we're gonna have 2 rematches against two teams that one we've we just curb stomped, and then the other across the state that we lost to. We're going to be playing Ole Miss on Saturday the 3rd, and then Alabama on the 7th. Anything we want to talk about with those two games real quick before we close out
First
tonight?
off, I don't give a crap about the Ole Miss game. We know what we have in the Ole Miss game. We know what the team's going to do against Ole Miss. I don't care to talk about Ole Miss. There will be blood on the court in Neville against Alabama. People will die.
No,
The
we do
game
not
is going
support
to be a
any murder.
bloodbath. Obviously, we don't, but this is Call of Duty. I'm just kidding. But there will be. Auburn is going to get its get back against Alabama. You believe that? It's going to happen. Chad Baker Mazzara is going to go off. Chad Baker, the 3-point maker, baby. He's going to be our MVP. He's the X factor. Blood on the court.
So, so I would agree with you there on the Alabama game, but with Ole Miss, I don't think we need to underestimate them. I think what college basketball has taught us this year is road games are crazy dangerous this year. And so we're playing at Ole Miss, and they played possibly the worst game they played all season long when they played us at Auburn at Neville Arena. So
Don't do it again.
I'm a little worried about that game because I just don't want us to be looking ahead to Alabama. So there's a chance, but we really should handle them. We should beat them. But on the road games this year is tough for every team, not just Auburn. It's every team
That's
out there.
nationwide.
Yep, my
Yeah.
feedback on those two games, the team should take it easy against Ole Miss. Not take it easy. The team should like just play the game against Ole Miss. Don't try and overreach. Just do what you got to do to secure that W. And then when it comes to Alabama, if our crowd doesn't show up like Alabama's did, for the first time this fucking season, then man, we're making mistakes. But that's
Neville is
but
showing
that's
up. Bro.
I know, but
Neville is
I
showing
understand
up.
that, but that's my expectations. Like we can't talk all this mad game about Alabama being stone quiet and then get beat up. So I mean, got to show up, got to be back for blood. I'd say use Ole Miss to prepare for Alabama.
All year it's been the Bronny effect. It's going to continue. Neville will show up.
And on that note, we're going to end the podcast here tonight, guys. Thank you for listening. Subscribe and click that notification bell, and we'll get some more videos out to you. Get some more teasers out to you as well. We look forward to everything. War Eagle, guys.
War Eagle.
War Eagle.